Good morning. This is the second Sunday of the Easter season. It is traditionally called Low Sunday. It's a Sunday when things aren't quite as festive as they were the previous Sunday, and attendance is usually much lower on the second Sunday of Easter than it is on Easter. That's what I'm experiencing today. I see 3 people in our sanctuary, and Bill, Beth, and Gwen, I'm delighted that you came to worship today. In Peter's speech in Acts, this speech is the one he gives on Pentecost, describing to the people who Jesus is. And he talks about Jesus' life, his death, and his resurrection. And in this speech, Peter quotes Psalm 16. I stood before the Lord, therefore my heart is glad and my soul rejoices. My body shall dwell in hope. God has not abandoned me to death. God has not left me in the pit. God has shown me the path of life. Your presence is fullness of joy, and in your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Peter is saying that this is the meaning of the resurrection, that one is living in the presence of God. God is not God out there or up there. God is present. You have not abandoned me. You show me the path of life. In your presence, there is fullness of joy. When we talk to you, we're talking to somebody who is present. We're not talking to somebody who is distant or far away. And for Peter, the presence of God is what the resurrection is about. You are with me. You are beside me. You are at my right hand. God is present. And then, therefore, Peter in Psalm 16 talks about, therefore, because God is present, I have confidence, I have happiness, I have joy, I have pleasure, I have insight, I have God's counsel. God is my true happiness, and there is no meaning in my life apart from God. This is a psalm of trust, that I can trust God because God is with me. This is a psalm that we can say, in life, in death, in life beyond death, God is with us. We are not alone. This is a psalm of resurrection. And that's why Peter quotes it. This psalm is read at gravesides. I can't think of a graveside service I've done where I have not read Psalm 16. But it's about more than life after death. Certainly, it is about life after death. My body shall rest in hope. But it should be read at all times, because it's about the whole person. Therefore, my heart is glad. My soul rejoices. My body dwells secure. The whole person is blessed by God's presence now and then. All is well and all will be well. The theme of redemption runs throughout Peter's speech. And it runs throughout the psalm. God is present to redeem. God does not give up on Jesus. God does not give up on the people. God does not give up on Peter. But God works to redeem Jesus. God works to redeem the people, and God works to redeem Peter. In the psalm, God works to redeem. You are my refuge. You did not give me up to Sheol. You did not give me up to the grave. You did not give me up to the pit. God doesn't throw away. God restores and heals and brings things back to where they should be, to their rightful place, to where they belong. In the last 4 weeks, I've learned about the Japanese art form called kintsugi. Kintsugi is a compound word meaning gold repair. And at this point in the sermon, I hope that Rhonda cuts away from me and is showing works of kintsugi art. Kintsugi art is the art of redemption. It takes broken pottery and restores it. It doesn't throw away the pieces. It restores the pieces. But it restores them in a way that's different than using just Gorilla Glue. It uses lacquer and gold, liquid gold or liquid silver. And it doesn't hide the breaks. It makes the breaks and the brokenness part of the history of the piece of pottery. And it displays those breaks with pride. It's been called the art of precious scars. And each piece of kintsugi pottery is unique because each piece has been broken in its unique way. No two pieces of dinnerware are broken in the same way. No two bowls are broken in the same way. So each piece of kintsugi pottery is unique. Even if you have a complete dinner set, each piece will be different. Kintsugi pottery is a way to accept that things will never be the way they were, but that they can become something else with a different kind of value and beauty. Now, in our home, we have a butter dish that Susan's college roommate gave us probably 15 years ago. It's been broken numerous times, and Susan has repaired it numerous times. And each time it's broken, I say, Susan, let's throw it away. Let's get rid of it. It isn't going to stay in one piece. But in kintsugi pottery, the artist takes the brokenness and does more than just restore it to the way it was. The artist takes the brokenness and includes the brokenness so that it adds value. The artist doesn't ignore or deny the brokenness, but includes it so that the piece is made beautiful. And I think, what an incredible image of redemption and resurrection that is. To see Jesus' resurrection in the light of kintsugi pottery, where God does not throw Jesus away. But God takes the death and resurrection of Jesus and makes it beautiful, and takes the scars of Jesus and makes them beautiful. And in Peter's speech, Jesus isn't reduced to just the resurrection, but it's the whole life of Jesus that is redeemed. The teachings and the miracles and the healings and the death and the resurrection are all part of the redeemed Jesus. Just like a piece of kintsugi pottery, the whole piece is there. The psalmist is not thrown away by God, but God takes the psalmist's life and adds value and beauty to it. God takes that brokenness and gives that person wholeness and presence and counsel and insight. I hope you will listen to Garrett Heisel's witness in today's service. It is an amazing story of redemption, of God taking a broken life, a shattered life, and not returning it to the way it was, but creating something new that has a different kind of value and beauty. God takes his life and the whole history of his life and makes it new and redeems it. All of us have stories of brokenness. All of us have stories where we've come apart. And just like each piece of pottery is unique, each one of our stories is unique. We have stories of brokenness, of job losses, of partnerships falling apart, of addiction, of being our own worst enemy, of shame. We all have our stories of brokenness. And the message of Easter is that God takes that brokenness and doesn't return it to the way it was, but God takes those scars and makes them into something beautiful and value and new. God is the artist. The artist can be the higher power. And God doesn't work in silver or gold or lacquer. God works with spirit and community and forgiveness and love. Those are the way God is present. We trust the artist to repair the brokenness of our lives. Therefore, my heart is glad. My soul rejoices, and my body will dwell in peace. You, O Lord, show me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy, and in your right hand are pleasures forevermore. We talk about the new normal. I think the new normal is the path of life that the psalmist talks about, to which Peter refers. I want to see the new normal in the light of kintsugi art and in the light of the resurrection's redemption. We have brokenness, we have anxiety, we have worry, we have loss, and we have uncertainty. But we know we can't go back to the way things were. And I'm not sure I want to go back to the way some things were. I find myself at this time of uncertainty placing myself more and more in the hands of the artist, more and more in God's hands, and experiencing that presence that takes my brokenness and adds something of value and beauty. I find myself feeling free of statistics and attendance statistics that I've always worried about. I find myself feeling ironically closer to people. I find myself caring more because I'm aware of more. I find myself more mindful of the marginalized and the needs of the marginalized. And I find myself more tolerant and less angry. And I feel like I am becoming something different. But I don't want to go back and forget this time. I don't want to forget the closeness I feel. I don't want to forget the caring I feel. I don't want to forget the tolerance I feel. And I certainly don't want to forget the presence of God that I experience. I think the way to enter the new normal is to enter it with the scars. The scars of the uncertainty I feel, the scars of the brokenness I feel, the scars of the worry. Because if I remember the scars, I'll remember the new way of living, that I've become something new with a different kind of value and beauty. If I don't remember the scars and the brokenness, I'll just forget what I've learned. The new normal can also be called resurrection. It can also be seen as redemption. It's when the artist God takes our lives and we accept that it will not be as it was, but that we can become something new with a different kind of value and a different kind of beauty. Therefore, our hearts are glad, and our spirits rejoice, and our bodies will dwell secure. For God shows us the path of life, and in God's hands are pleasures forevermore, And in God's presence, there is fullness of joy. May it be so. Amen.